Hello Aquarius, thank you for tuning into your general read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Modern Spellcaster's Tarot by Melanie Marquis, illustrated by Scott Murphy. For the support of Oracle cards, I'm going to use the Angel Answers Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. Already shuffled. Let's see what we got here. You only have one card on that side so far. Alright, so I'm kind of feeling like this is mostly your energy through the whole situation, your overall energy, I would say. Two of Pentacles, like you're balancing things out. You're trying to make things work out. You're giving things an honest effort, but I feel like there's something else I want to say here. Like you're really, it's not just about you, and you're not looking at it that way at all. You're looking at it like what's going to help everybody be happy. And I feel like that's your overall goal. Goal? Okay, here we go. You're trying to make a situation where everybody is getting along and happy. And I feel like that's what means the most to you at this point. Like people getting along. Like arguments have their time and place, and sometimes things have to be worked through, and that's one thing. But right now you're looking towards like a community cohesive effort, people getting along and working together in a joyful way. I feel like this is holding you through this situation here, because that seems to be your main goal for things going on here. Because as we go in, I'm noticing on the other side for the environment, like not the right time. It's like I don't feel like people want to engage right now in this situation. Is that correct? Like I don't feel like they're engaged in it. You're trying to get it going. You're trying to set it up for success down the line. But I feel like you're kind of fighting an uphill battle in the very beginning. It might be just in the very beginning, but I feel like people, like they're seeing the conflict here. And this is one of the reasons you're trying to juggle things out, because they're seeing conflict here. People don't want to deal with other people. And it's just like people are trying to stay out of it for right now. They don't want to deal with it just yet because they think it's going to be a headache. What's going on in the action line is just like, I feel like people are just kind of dealing with each other, just kind of accepting a situation for what it is. Just kind of like being cordial to each other, but as long as nothing really has to be decided, it's not that hard to do. But the situation that's coming forward that you're seeing, they know it too. As long as it's not being actually dealt with, everybody seems to be getting along fairly well. I just feel like people around this situation are aware that once it starts coming into play, it might be an issue, or it's probably going to be an issue. And you're looking to start negotiations sooner rather than later. No, talks, communication. You're trying to get people communicating sooner rather than later. You're seeing if things can be worked out. You're trying to figure out what has to be worked out. I think that's a bigger piece here, because you got the Two of Pentacles. You're trying to balance things out, but the first thing you're going to do is try to find out what exactly needs to be worked out. Where aren't things matching up and why? And what can you do to help it work out? I think we're going to come back to that card a lot during this reading. Now, I get the King of Cups coming in the action line though, which means I feel like the people here genuinely care about each other. May have differences of opinion, but they definitely care about each other. And I feel like you're definitely one of this group, one of these people. This definitely makes sense to me. As this goes into play, though, I feel like the king here is saying we need to like figure out what we're going to do. I feel like this is somebody, or somehow things are starting to really come forward. Like it's time to make these decisions. It's time to decide what we want to do. And I feel like you're a very strong piece of that, trying to get this to come in with your Two of Pentacles energy. Like, you know what, the sooner we start handling this, the more time we have to iron out the wrinkles. So let's start dealing with it now. And I feel like this King of Cups energy is like, yes, there's a lot of love here, but there's a lot of strong personalities here too. Is that what we're going for? Strong personalities. A lot of love, but a lot of strong personalities. And the Five of Wands happens in the environment. People are definitely disagreeing. Very blunt, well, very openly. Let's put it that way. Because I'm getting the two of these together, like people are not agreeing, people feel the way they feel, and they're not backing down from it in the beginning. So that's where this is starting. And I do feel like you're a part of this, even though you have that Two of Pentacles energy right there. It's pretty much at this point a information gathering situation, because people are more arguing than anything else. I feel like you're trying to understand, to get as much information as possible to understand who's opposing this, who's opposing that, why are the reasons behind it, what can happen, what can't happen, what can't, and the reasons behind that. It's more information gathering at this stage here. I know that's a person card usually, but I don't feel like that's what that's about. It's just saying like there's a lot of strong personalities here, and you're right in there trying to figure out like why are people feeling the way they're feeling, and where are they standing, and what makes them stand there, what is actually possible and what is not. Now, this fighting, I kind of feel like it's infighting. That seems to kind of simmer down after a little while. You got the Four of Swords. People stop communicating. And I feel like people stop communicating. I just get like people start I just feel like they're ignoring this situation. But it's having a good effect, because right behind this, you have the High Priestess. People aren't communicating, but they seem to be mulling over what they heard. They're going through options. I feel like overall people want to kind of get along. And I feel like people are looking at the situation like, what are they willing to bend on? What are they not willing to bend on? Like, I feel like this moment with the fighting happens and people vent and say what they feel. And then they kind of hold back and they kind of stop communication with one another. But they definitely take an honest look about the situation. And I feel like people are realizing there's going to have to be some compromise. They can get some of what they want, but they're definitely not going to get all of what they want. So they're trying to compromise. I feel like people are coming forth in a compromising mood after this. But there definitely is a moment of silence here where people aren't communicating, where they're coming to terms with like, all right, I can't have everything I want, but I can get some of it. What means the most to me, what has the most possibility for me to get that I really want. This is the next in the action line, Ace of Pentacles. And I feel like this is, again, where you come in with that Two of Pentacles again, because that seems to be your energy through this whole situation. I feel like you're working through the situation, you're trying to help understand who wants what and why. You're trying to, make it as conducive for everybody as possible. And you're also very good with the communication. Like, if something can't happen and you're realizing it can't, you're explaining as best you can. You're trying to create those talks to at least let that person understand why, and let them know that they were very strongly considered, but it just can't. But you seem to be trying to really push forth the importance of the person, and that they were listened to and they were heard. And you're trying to explain like all of the avenues that went to try to make that happen, but it's just not happening. And you're very, very diplomatic at this moment. Very good at explaining like the why if things couldn't happen the way somebody wanted to. You're calming their fears, like that at least they were heard, even though they're not going to get what they want. At least they were heard and considered, because it seems to make a huge difference here. And I'm noticing this up on your side, the romance card. Like, you're really making people feel good, schmoozing people a little, but I don't feel like you're doing anything underhanded in any sense. I feel like you're just helping people really feel appreciated, because this energy from you with the Ace of Pentacles is then touching into the Ten of Cups, for the love of Pete, Ten of Cups in the future. Which is a good time. Like, this situation does work out, and I feel like you have a very strong hand in that. We have one face down card in the environment. I feel like people do still have differences. This was face down, the Queen of Fire, which is also the Queen of Wands. I see her as fire. This was face down. I feel like people are holding back their aggressions towards each other. I feel like you had a lot to do with this too, though. There are definitely elements in this situation that people don't get along just naturally, just don't get along. But they seem to be holding it together. This is face down, which means the people still feel the way they feel, but they're putting it aside for this event. and the event is going very well. Whatever the situation is you're moving towards, it does go very well. I really feel like you have a strong handle in this, a strong piece of this, strong influence on this, because of the way you're trying to help people, you're explaining things. You're making people feel very appreciated. Again, even if something doesn't go their way, you seem to be very strong with explaining why, explaining how they were considered, and going through the avenues about, you know, how it was looked at and why it couldn't. You know, you're making them feel like they were very strongly considered. I feel like there's a lot of loyalty towards you. Is that, yeah, a lot of loyalty towards you here, because you made a lot of people feel good. And I feel like this is why people are like putting it on the shelf, how they feel. Like, even though people don't naturally get along, some people just, their energies just don't match, but they're shelving it for this situation because they want to have a good time just as much as everybody else, so they're just putting it to the side and everybody's just getting along. It seems like it's going really well at the end here. And I feel like your diplomacy through the whole thing had a very, very strong backing for that. So I feel like what you're doing is a very good thing. I like how that's going because I feel like you're going to get a really good outcome because of it. Are we good? Good. All right, I'm going to wrap that up there. Thank you for watching. Of course, if you would like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, james4astral@gmail.com. James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.